Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's live show, we're going to talk about the latest going on around Chip Kelly because the Las Vegas Raiders have had conversations about firing the offensive coordinator. And today, we're going to illustrate those rumors going on right now a little bit more. I did put out a video a few hours ago kind of going through everything that I've been told up to this point regarding Chip Kelly, but I want to make a statement very clear. The Raiders have not fired Chip. I don't know if the Raiders are going to fire Chip Kelly. At the end of the day, I'm always just going to give you information that I'm told because that's what I like to do. Also, coming up here live on today's program, we got some good news and we got some bad news. But I will say, I think that there is more good news today than bad news. Also, Chip Kelly replacements. The last time that I did a video, I would say similar to this, is when I broke down the news around Christian Wilkins probably being out for the entire season, and then I did a show on Christian Wilkins' replacements. I understand that the Raiders have not fired Chip Kelly. I understand that there's no report out there yet that there are conversations about moving on from the Raiders OC, but I'm just going to sit up here and tell you this. What I'm hearing is what I'm hearing. So if the Raiders decide to fire Chip, I'm going to just tell you who I believe the Silver and Black could potentially hire as the interim OC for this upcoming season. If you do not know, we're always going to do a duck race today, and today's duck race is going to be a little bit different. If you want to get in, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. No matter what, we are going to be donating today to SaveAWarrior.org. Why? Today's Veterans Day, and I don't know if you guys want to give a shout-out down below to somebody that you know personally that has served, somebody that watches this show all the time that has served. If you just want to give me a USA, America down below, whatever you feel is the best way to be able to show love to all the veterans out there that, again, allow us to do what we like to be able to do on a daily, weekly basis. But the more people that get in the duck race today, whatever the winner goes home with, because I know Raider Nation always shows up, they always show out, they always show love. If you win the duck race today, I want you to be able to keep that money. I want you to be able to keep that money. Whatever the winner gets, I'm going to match, okay? Whatever the winner gets in the duck race today, I'm going to match, and we're going to donate it to SaveAWarrior.org. But if you decide that you want to donate, hey, just tell them that Father Tom sent you. Also, big-time NFL news. Free agent cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. is signing with the Steelers practice squad. Steelers practice squad for Asante Samuel Jr. I personally think that that's a very, very, very interesting move. Though, I see Yoda Jenkins down below, Shaw, Victor, Taino, Didi, what's going on, all of y'all? And like I said, if you want to be able to give a shout out, I see my dad actually down below. The guy that's MMM365 Pops, that's my dad, but since YouTube switched up the names, thank you for everyone who served, and that's the real talk. Like, thank you to everybody who has served. And I know there are so many people, men, women, families, that have donated and dedicated the ultimate price. And at the end of the day, I just want to be able to sit up here and say, we appreciate you. I'm going to do everything in my power today to make sure that you guys know that we appreciate you. And I think today's live show is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have a lot of fun. At least I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Before we get into today's deals and before we get into the latest going on around the Raiders and Chip Kelly, I got to tell you all about our sponsor, Prize Picks, because they're the ones keeping the lights on. Because the hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right, that never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. And if you're looking up on screen right now, I'm showing you all my lineup for Monday Night Football. When it comes to the Raiders and this offensive line, I'm probably just going to go less from now on. When it comes to the opponent they're going up against, I'm just going to go more. But I at least wanted to be able to show you what the flex play could pay and what the power play could play. No matter what, though, you should play. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, Prize Picks. It's good to be right, and there's a reason why they are America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. So I see a super chat. We will get to it in just a moment, but I have a question, and this is how this show's always going to go. I'm going to ask y'all questions. I hope you interact with me because it's a two-way conversation. Because if I didn't have a two-way conversation, I just got to talk to that camera all the time, I would go absolutely, and I mean absolutely insane. Here's my question to you. If you could keep only one for the year of 2026, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you're in a room with Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Mark Davis, Geno Smith, and Chip Kelly are sitting in front of you. Mark looks at you, looks at Pete, looks at John, and says, well, you can only keep one. Who would you keep? Would you keep the quarterback? Give me a GS for Geno Smith. Or would you keep Chip Kelly? I want you to type CK. And I think this is an interesting question because I believe most of the nation feels that Geno Smith is not our franchise quarterback. I feel like most people believe that Chip Kelly is not the future for us as an offensive coordinator. But I would also say that we can find upgrades at QB, and I'd also say we could find upgrades at the offensive coordinator position. So if you could only keep one, who would you keep? And I can't wait to see what we got here. Donald says GS. Brian says neither. Yeah, I mean, Brian, with all due respect, no shit, right? But, like, that's why I said you got to keep one. Like, that's how I like to do hypotheticals here. I'm always going to ask y'all. Yoda Jenkins says Geno Smith. Mac's going to go with Chip Kelly. Luda's going to go with Chip Kelly. Very, very split. And what's crazy about this entire thing is I think I would rather keep Geno Smith than Chip Kelly. For the first off, the financials of how much easier it is to move on from Chip. The number two is I do feel like I do a lot of homework. I feel like I watch a lot of tape. I feel like I know this team well. And I know that there's been some swings and misses. We're all going to have swings and misses. But the quarterback that I saw, Geno Smith, did look a lot different. He also looks a lot older, I'll tell you that. But if I had to pick one, we would keep Geno Smith. But the biggest reason why I would keep Geno, because just because you keep him doesn't mean you have to play him. And if you end up keeping him, I'd probably do something very similar to what the New York Giants did, where they drafted a Jackson Dart, you let Russell Wilson start, you bench Russell Wilson's ass, you bench Geno's ass, and then you put a new quarterback out there on the field. Let's go to my brother, Desi. Oh, sorry, that's a different one. O'Neal Seward, after this super, I do want to show you what the deals are on today's program, and then we're going to get into why Chip Kelly could potentially get fired and why he is on the hot seat. Get him out of here. This is an awful performance from the highest paid OC. It's unacceptable. Also, shout out to you and shout out to Chugs. Hey, man, I hear your frustration. I know y'all feel the exact same flipping way because you are the highest paid OC in the NFL. And there should be a higher level of commitment to excellence than what we've been able to see. And if it can't be, we're going to keep both Geno and Chip thing. To me, it's we got to figure out one or the other. It's either we keep Geno or we keep Chip. And I hope that it's not keep Chip. I also hope that it's not keep Geno, but that's besides the point. Today's deals are this. And I know there's a lot of people out there that always show love to us here. If you want a raffle ticket for a chance to win a signed Ashton Genty football, it is a $5 super chat. You get one raffle ticket. Though, if you send a photo to Jeremy Chugs on Twitter and you send him a photo of you serving in the military, if you have an outfit, something that proves that you have served, I'm going to give you a free raffle ticket. It's also going to be a cool way, I think, on today's program to put some faces to names. We've been doing it the entire month of November, and I know there's a lot of awesome people that watch this show. And again, you guys get to know me, but I like doing this because I also want to get to know y'all. So if you're watching this program right now, and if you're one of the 300 people here in the building, send a photo to Jeremy Chugs on Twitter. Give him a follow. Probably be easier for him to find you. And then we'll put it up here on screen. We'll give you some free raffle tickets. If you want a chance to win some money today, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Rents 365. And the reason why I hope that you guys get in today's duck race is because the duck race we're doing today, whatever the winner ends up getting, I'm matching, and I am donating to SaveAWarrior.org. And you already know, I'm going to tell them that Father Tom sent me. Which, speaking of Father Tom, LA Crash Dog, I am going to pay for your duck race entry for bringing Save a Warrior to us And then also, Yoda Jenkins is here in the building. If you throw in a $100 super chat, it's a bang. And we're going to do something that I've never done before. And I'm going to call it the Tuna March. And we'll see what you guys think. I think it'll be a fun and interactive way where we can always show love and pay homage to the great tuna. If you don't know the deal that I'm doing in the entire month of November, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen what I've been doing. But every bang that happens on this show in November, I got to run. Right now, I owe 3.0 miles. I literally ran 3.1 yesterday, and before that, I think I ran like 2.7 way before that. My goal is actually to try to run a marathon of miles in the entire month of November. I'm not going to lie, my knee is killing me today, but what I've been doing is I post on IG that I'm going on my run. I let you guys ask me questions, and then literally in the middle of my run, I answer the questions. And at the end of the day, I always want to find ways to get more content for you. And at the end of the day, I want to be able to just let people know that we appreciate all the service members out there. And I've actually had a few Raiders Report fans every time I post when I'm running or how much I owe. I've actually had a few Raider fans send me. Now, I don't have the app. What's it called? Strava. I've actually had people send me, it's like a running tracking app, but they send me like that they also ran 2.7 miles. That they also ran. One guy ran 6.1 the other day. He sent me a picture, and I was like, I think you're just doing this to show me up here a little bit. Let's go to Preston Rodriguez. Preston, we need to hear Mitchell Wren's getting a coaching job with the Raiders. I mean, I would love the opportunity, and I do think that I would really help out this organization. And I don't think I don't mean it from an X's and O's standpoint. Like, you shouldn't hire me to be an OC. You shouldn't hire me to do anything like that. But to be a assistant that can just sit down and give you my 2 cents on what I think about this roster, and I think that this offseason is the perfect example of it, because I understand that Pete Carroll, John Spytek, and a lot of the new coaches that we brought in, they probably didn't know the team all that well, because you have to sit back and you got to learn and understand the players that you have. But I will confidently say that I do feel like if they would have used me in March, April, May, June, July, I could have told them my evaluation on this team. I do think that they would be better off and more prepared for the regular season. And I would love the opportunity. I'm not going to hold my breath on it, but just know if I ever get the opportunity, it's going to change. What up, J-Ro? Kappa eats corn dogs, stick first. Yikes. Caleb Rogers needs to fill JPJ spot. This will be one of the things that I kind of talk about a little bit today on the program, and I only say that because I hear you loud and clear, but it's not just Caleb Rogers. Like, I would actually say that it's not just Caleb Rogers that needs to fill JPJ spot. If anything, I think Caleb Rogers needs to fill Dylan Parham's spot if Parham is out, and based on the information that I've received, I do think that Parham's going to be out at least a few weeks with an ankle injury. But Charles Grant's the other name that you got to consider. We got to get Charles. To me, it's more important to get Charles Grant on the offensive line at either left or right tackle than it is to get Caleb Rogers at the guard spot. Because I think you can kick in DJ Glaze to take JPJ's spot if that means we get Charles Grant at either tackle spot. What up, Richard Black? Mitch, I finally got my Genty jersey today. Hallelujah, man. I know that a bunch of y'all have been hitting me up about anything. And again, if I owe you anything based on deals that I make on this program, it's going to take some time. Our shipping department is, unfortunately, looking for a brand new person yet again. And Chuck's literally like in the background. But at the end of my number one focus, provide Raiders content. And then when I get free time on Wednesdays, I always try to go through and I order everything that I owe. But I will never cheat, y'all. I promise. Stay consistent with me, but I'm glad you finally got your jersey. Wrong way. I want Fernandez, pair him with a young offensive coordinator. I was going to say, I'm like, did you combine Mendoza's first and last name and just make... I was really like going through my head. You ever see like that gif of like Alan from Hangover doing math and it's just all the numbers? That's literally how I felt right there. I mean, what's really kind of sad to me, Azul said Fernandez. Azul, you and me both, bro. I had the opportunity to go to Penn State, Indiana this past weekend. One of my college buddies, he's got season tickets, and he always, and I mean always, invites me, my best man Joe, my other groomsman Ryan. It was us four. We were all roommates at college. And he asked me, 2 months ago, hey, can you go to the Indiana-Penn State game? It's going to be a really good game. And what's funny about that game is I remember telling my buddy Dave, I was like, dude, we're going to be able to watch Mendoza. I like him. I think Indiana's a good program. But the last game that I ever went to with my buddy Dave was UCF against Penn State, and the quarterback's name was Blake Bortles. And I felt like every team I ever watched with him, the QB ends up at least being something in the NFL. I'll say this, man. I like Mendoza. I know that he struggled a little bit in that game, but at the end of the day, I want a quarterback that can make an interception. That sounds weird because we have Geno. But that throws an interception, has that mental reset, and then leads his team down the field in Happy Valley to keep their undefeated season alive. Like, I think having it up here is almost just as important in the NFL as having the physical tools. Let's go to Jordan Santos. What's up, man? Since the season is practically over, will you start to do a who to root for around the NFL segment for the draft order on videos? I will end up doing that. I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I was really hoping I'd be able to hold off until December, because I didn't think that we would be in the same exact situation that we're in again with the 2-7 football team. If there are videos that you guys like, if there are videos that you enjoy, I want to be able to do them. But even more so, like what I would rather do, Jordan, is do like a video on who to root for. And then I'll always do, always do Raiders watch parties. But if y'all were like, honestly, Mitch, I'd rather us watch like the Tennessee Titans up against XYZ team. If it's whether or not we get the number 1 overall pick, I'll do watch parties around that. And we'll root for the Titans to win. We'll root for the Saints to win. We'll root for the Jets to win. We'll root for any team that is picking above us to win. But I will also say, I will root for the Raiders to win every game day. Because I think that it's important for us to win to get going in the right direction. That way we don't get stuck with your third choice Pete Carroll as a head coach. That way you don't get stuck with a Geno Smith at quarterback. I want guys to want to come play for us. I want guys to want to come coach for us. What up, Banji? Mark Davis, please interview me to become a team college scout. I have a business plan to make our team better. Sincerely, Mike Davis's number 36 good friend. All right. Shoot your shot, man. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not shooting your shot, I don't know. I'll say today's been a good day for me personally. The city of Dallas is rejoicing after firing Nico Harrison, and maybe that doesn't mean anything to y'all, but living here in the city that I live in, I'm telling you this right now, Dallas is wilding out today, and I bet you we see some crazy, crazy things going on around that city. I'm a Raider fan, but I need some smiles, and damn it, I'm going to take smiles in any way that I can get them. So I see we have some more Super Chats. We'll get to them here in just a moment. But the way that I want to go through and do this is when we get a new super, no, my computer reset, so we're good. I lost connection, it reset, and then they all popped in. But if we get a new super chat, we'll put it up here on screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll through the video that I recorded earlier today around Chip Kelly being on the hot seat. So the first reason why I believe Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly could be fired, my source. I know that a lot of people watch this show every single day. I know there's other people that don't watch this show every single day. Type me down below if you remember me being the very first person to mention Chip Kelly being linked to the Las Vegas Raiders last offseason. I think we'll have a few real ones here down in the comment section. But I was told by my source that Kelly's job is in jeopardy. The reason why me mentioning what I did earlier about Chip and my source telling me that Kelly's job is in jeopardy, it's the same person. So I am relaying to you his information that was given to me. I was told by that source, quote, likely happen after the season, not during, but possible. In that conversation, the but possible was more of it's the Raiders, like anything can happen with the Raiders, and I totally feel that exact statement. But my point about this is the fact that the conversations have started, that's never good for Chip Kelly. And the NFL is a domino league. You guys always laugh at me when I say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that because there was smoke around Chip Kelly being fired, the first domino that fell in order that to happen was Tom McMahon, the Raiders special teams coach last Friday getting fired. And it needed to happen. Let's all be honest with ourselves. The firing of Tom McMahon needed to happen. It did. But at the same time, I think we could also say that I think Tom McMahon was made a little bit of a scapegoat with this Raiders organization because it wasn't only special teams being a failure. It was bad. Special teams was failing. Don't get me wrong. The offense, though, has failed. The defense has failed. And in my personal opinion, if you're going to make the argument, hey, we have done so bad this season that we're going to fire Tom McMahon, I think you need to say the exact same damn thing about firing Chip Kelly. However, Chip Kelly was the highest paid OC. Tom McMahon was not brought in by this regime. But firings in the NFL are like dominoes. And I think the very first warning to the Pete Carroll regime of whoever the hell it might be, and I don't really think it was a warning to Pete Carroll based on the information I've been given, based on the things that have already been reported that Pete's job seems to be safe. I think the firing of Tom McMahon was a bigger message to Chip Kelly saying, if you don't think that we're going to fire people in the middle of the season, you better wake the hell up. Let's go to the next reason here. Why I believe Chip Kelly could end up getting the boot. Pete's loyalty to Geno. And based on what I have understood and based on the information that I have received, I do not think that Geno Smith and Chip Kelly are going to return. I believe it is going to be either one or the other. And I'm going to guess, if Pete's the one calling the shots, that he's going to pick Geno Smith over Chip Kelly. That's just a gut reaction. I was not given any information that Geno would be the one picked over Chip Kelly or Chip Kelly would be picked over Geno Smith. But the information that was given to me was I would be pretty surprised if Geno and Chip Kelly are both running the ship here from a quarterback and offensive coordinator standpoint. So because I know that Chip Kelly is not well liked or respected in that locker room, and because I know that Geno Smith is actually well liked and well respected in that locker room. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit surprised by it because I don't think that he's done some of the right things outside of that locker room in front of the media. Same time, what do you expect him to say? But I also know that it's easier and it's cheaper to move on from Chip Kelly. Let's just say you got to fire Chip Kelly for a year, maybe two, at $6 million per, whatever it might be. That could be a 6-year or a $6 million, a $12 million. You move on from Geno Smith, you're eating $18 million. So because of that, I think that's very important. I'll go to the next reason here in just a moment, but J-Ro, I'm calling it now. Sawyer Robertson from Baylor will be the dark horse quarterback in 2026. I've heard a lot of good things about Sawyer, and obviously being down here in the DFW Dallas area, Robertson's been a name that's been thrown out in this area a little bit. I will say that he's not a top 5 quarterback on my book, but I'm still very, very early on in the process. I'll take a better look at him, though. No doubt about it. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think Chip Kelly could be fired. The offensive struggles. And, if you don't want to believe me about my source, that's fine. If you don't want to think that the NFL is like dominoes, that's fine. If you don't want to think that Pete's loyal to the Geno could be the deciding factor of who they keep and who they move on from, that's fine. But numbers, and especially these numbers, they're not lying to you, right? This Raiders offense stinks. The only offense that's worse than you is the Tennessee Titans, and they have way less talent than we do. I'm telling you that right now. Total yards per game, passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, turnovers. I mean, we are bottom in the NFL in literally every single statistic. But you know what else I want to be able to look at? History. And I know that Mark Davis knows that he fired Luke Getsy last year. And Luke Getsy was doing light years of a better job than what Chip Kelly is doing right now. I actually think that Luke Getsy's quarterback situation, worse. Running back situation, much worse. The offensive line was better, but that's because you didn't have Brennan Carroll calling the shots, and you actually put JPJ where he was supposed to play. But Luke Getsy was fired, and you can see better points per game, better total yards per game, better passing yards per game. Sure, the rushing yards per game is better, but with all due respect, if you're not gaining more yards on the ground after taking a running back number 6 overall in Ashton Genty compared to Zamir White, I think that just proves how horrible you are at your job. But these numbers don't lie, and it's a bold face of Luke Getsy was a better Raiders OC than Chip Kelly. That's a scary statement to make. The next reason here, Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. Mark Davis hates when his pockets are impacted. And I have a feeling that this Monday, when the Raiders up against the Dallas Cowboys play, I get a feeling that there's not going to be a lot of Raiders fans there. I have a feeling there's going to be more Cowboys fans than Raiders fans because I've talked to a lot of people. That's an expensive ticket item. And I've heard a lot of people reselling their tickets because Cowboys fans want to be able to go to that game. But when you think about the negativity, okay, when you're on national television and everybody can see you, the media, they come at you a little bit more. And Mark doesn't like being in the spotlight for bad reasons. And he was in the spotlight on Thursday Night Football because of how bad the Raiders looked against the Denver Broncos, and the entire world got to see on display what we have been seeing all season long. I also know that if they play bad again against Monday night, or they play bad again on Monday against the Dallas Cowboys, again, like that's just not going to go well. And when you get dudes like Richie Incognito speaking up about Chip Kelly and about his struggles, Mark Davis cares about players. Mark Davis cares about past people in this organization. And I know for a fact that Mark Davis cares about what Richie Incognito had to say about Chip Kelly's performance. And guess what? If you're bad again against Dallas, it's going to be even louder and it's going to be even worse. But this is what Incognito had to say, and I couldn't agree more with them. Wasted opportunity for the Raiders defense. Gave them premium field position at first half, 7 points. Genty was rolling early, and then they go away from him. If you're not committed to the run, play action isn't fooling anyone. You're not threatening them with the run out of the shotgun. Then it's screens, tight end jet sweeps, like they're searching for answers. After the last turnover, they finally commit to the run, move the chains, then immediately get predictable again. Nobody is playing up to the standard, but this is a coaching problem too. Put players in position to succeed. When past players can tell that your coaches are not putting players in the best opportunity to succeed, it's just going to work its way up the ladder. And I know Mark understands and he hears the frustrations that all of us are seeing. But at the exact same time, will he do it? I don't know. What I do know, though, is another bad showing on Monday Night Football for the Las Vegas Raiders. The attention's going to go on Geno. The attention's going to go on Pete Carroll. And they're going to deflect that attention, I guarantee it, to Chip Kelly. The way that you don't have that negative attention, you show up on Monday Night Football and you get a dub. Here, though, is my final and last reason why I believe that Chip Kelly could be fired. You got to think about the Raiders' long-term plan. And when you hire a head coach at 74 years old, you have to be able to think of, okay, obviously, we need to be able to find somebody that can take over for Pete Carroll once he's just too old to run the ship anymore. And I do really believe in my heart of hearts the plan for the Raiders was bring in Pete for 2 to 3 years. Let's see what he can do. And then if Pete's doing the right job, you take that offensive coordinator and you let him continue to run the ship. The reason why I said that hiring Pete Carroll is the most risky move the Raiders could do was because hiring Pete, you don't have to just get one head coaching gig right. You technically have to get 2 head coaching gigs right. And I know for a fact that Chip Kelly is clearly not that guy. I also don't think that, Patrick Graham's going to be around. I wouldn't be shocked if PG took another opportunity elsewhere. And in all honesty, I don't think it would be a bad thing because if a team hired him, we could potentially get draft compensation for it. There's a potential for it. But to me, there's plenty of better candidates out there that we could hire right now to be our OC, that I would have more faith in to potentially be the future of our, future head coach of our football team. I just know that right now, the Raiders are looking for a lot of answers. And I don't think Chip Kelly is going to be able to figure it out. And in conclusion, I do think that Chip Kelly is going to end up getting fired. And I don't think that he's going to be the OC in 2026 because the only way that he's going to be around, again, in my opinion, is if the offense gets it clicking. And with this offensive line, with our remaining schedule, call me crazy, I don't think the Raiders are going to figure it out. And I don't think that Geno Smith in this offense is going to get it clicking. But because Mark listens to players, listens to fans, and coaches, I don't think that that's going to be a good thing for Chip because he's not well liked by players. He's definitely not well liked by fans. And I do wonder if some of the other coaches in there, if they would potentially throw Chip underneath the bus because would you agree with this statement right now that the three biggest issues for this Raiders offense are Chip Kelly, Geno Smith, the Raiders offensive line. And, we can always say, well, Mitch, you're forgetting Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll runs the ship. But in terms of the offense, an offensive side of the football only, I think that if you were to blame three people, you're going to blame Geno Smith, you're going to blame Chip Kelly, and you're going to blame the Raiders offensive line. Well, I already told you that Pete's going to have Geno Smith's back. And then do you know who runs the offensive line? Pete Carroll's son. I would imagine that Pete's going to have his son's back before he has Chip Kelly's back. So I'm not sitting up here reporting that the Raiders are going to fire Chip Kelly now. I'm just simply telling you that the conversations have already started. And I know that they have started. And because I've seen this song or dance before, I'm a believer that Chip Kelly will not be the Raiders' offensive coordinator next season. Random Phoenix Suns news. Jalen Green, though I thought he was on the Rockets, I'm not going to lie. He's out 4 to 6 weeks with a right hamstring strain. I don't know basketball well enough, but I remember hearing Jalen Green's name a lot, and I was like, oh, is that a Rockets thing? Nope. Was a Rockets thing. So my question to you right now, do you think that this Raiders offense is going to get it turned around and that they're going to get it going in the right direction? Y for yes, N for no. If you're typing your N for no, I would like to believe that that also means that this team is not. If you're typing your N for no, then I think that just goes to show you that this Raiders offense is probably going to be moving on from Chip Kelly. They might not. They might decide to keep him, and they absolutely could keep him. But I think if you're a Raiders fan, you should at least be happy about the conversations are being had. So will this Raiders offense turn it around? Give me a yes, give me a no, and then right on cue from Ren, he's going to hit me with a hell no. Raider Jose says no, but the O-line is hot garbage. I think that's an insult to hot garbage, quite frankly. Got some extra people getting in this duck race. I see Soulja Man, you in. Right now it's a $20 Venmo. You'd win $40 on the program. Truth Bomb. If Chip Kelly was fired, who would you want instead? What do you believe the major problem, Chip Kelly or Geno Smith? Do you think Geno would play better if Chip is gone? Do you think this the rookie's last chance on Monday Night Football? Well, luckily for you, I got an entire segment coming up today around Chip Kelly replacement, so just hang on tight there. I don't want to give away an entire show. In terms of what's the major problem with Chip, Chip just to me runs a college-y offense, and Chip's not good enough to be able to make adjustments. I think the other real big problem with Chip is Chip's ego, because it's not just a one-time thing. It's not just a two, it's multiple times that we've heard Chip Kelly's got an ego problem. And if you're the Raiders, you need coaches that are good coaches, that are good teachers. And I'm not saying that Chip Kelly's a bad football coach. I'm saying he's a bad NFL offensive coordinator, and I think he's a bad teacher for adults. I think the way that Chip talks to people is better for the college game. I think it's better for, that younger generation, because if you're going to talk to a professional athlete, somebody that is their job, and you're going to talk to him the way that Chip Kelly talks to people, you're just going to rub people the wrong way. And I think it's a really, really big issue. Do I think Geno Smith would be better without Chip? I do. Do I think Chip would be better without Geno? I do. And that's kind of the hard part here, where if it was up to me, I'd move on from Geno and I'd move on from Chip Kelly. I really, really, truly would, because I think there's a lot of better candidates out there that you would be able to replace. But in terms of the Raiders, if Chip were to be fired in season, they would just promote somebody. And the candidates that I'm going to talk about, because to me there's 5. I think there are 5 potential candidates. I really only think that there are 3, probably only 2 legitimate candidates that the Raiders would consider if they moved on from Chip. But I will do that here in a little bit. In terms of the rookies, I hope that it's not their last chance. I hope that the Raiders just keep playing their rookies. It's okay if they fail. Keep throwing them out there. Throw them in the fire. I think it's the only way that they're going to learn. It's also the only way that we're going to learn about you guys and how you manage these rookies. Born a Raiders fan, my OC candidates, Mike Denbrock, Notre Dame, Garrett Riley, Clemson, Kendall Briles, TCU, Mike Shanahan, Indiana. Who do you want as OC that's in the NFL? I mean, The hard part about me right now is like it's the balancing act of could you bring in a guy like a Brian Dable to be your offensive coordinator? The problem with that idea is he going to be, your potential option to be the head coach? If it's just Brian Dable at OC, I actually would hire Brian Dable today over Chip Kelly to come in here and help out this offense. What about a guy like Clint Kubiak? I think Clint Kubiak's never going to be an OC. He wants to be a head coach. Obviously, I love what he's been able to do. But pulling guys from the college game, I don't know if it's the best option for the Raiders unless you're bringing in a Mendoza, right? If you bring in Mendoza, I think that aligns a little bit easier. It aligns a little bit better. But all the candidates that I'm going to talk about today are the candidates that are on the Las Vegas Raiders because that's the move that they would make. They wouldn't go out and they wouldn't hire somebody else. They would just go out and they would promote somebody from within. That's how it would go. Larry said, not Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen's going to be somebody that we talk about. And I'm not saying he's the front runner, but he might be the front runner. So today's deals, for those of you that do not know, if you want a free entry for a chance to win a Salute to Service football signed by Ashton Genty, you got to send a photo to Chugs on Twitter. Tag him, tweet at him, whatever it is. Give him a follow, DM him at Jeremy Chugs. If you're like, hey, man, I didn't serve, how can I still have an opportunity to win it? $5 super chat, you get one raffle entry. $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. You're going to get in for our duck race, and our duck race today is whatever the winner goes home with, which right now I'm looking, Rustin Long, you got it in. Right now what I'm looking at is whoever ends up winning, so right now the winner will go home with $50. I'm going to match that donation. Cool? I'm going to match that donation, and I'm going to send it to LA Crash Dog. You just put it up on. So when you send the photo to Chugs, he'll just make a photo out of it, and he'll put it up right over here. Also, what we're doing today is every time somebody bangs, you're going to add that 0.1 miles to my run. Also, every time somebody bangs today, if somebody bangs today, we're going to do something which is called the Tuna March. We'll give it a shot. I don't know how you guys will feel about it. I think it's going to be an interactive thing. Again, I'm just trying to create ideas here to have a little bit of fun on the program from time to time. Though, I do owe, as it stands right now, 3.0 miles. It's a lot of miles to run, which maybe not a lot for y'all. But the way my knee feels today, it'd be tough for me to run those types of miles. All right, so I do think we ended up getting at least one photo that was tweeted at Chugs. And I just want to be able to, like I said, put you guys up here, be able to show love to all the veterans out there that serve. Again, today is, it's easier. Okay. So Chugs is saying if you just tweet at him, it's a lot easier because then he can just use that photo. So if you just tweet at him, it's a lot easier compared to DMing him. So just tweet at him the photo of you serving, and we'll get you guys that raffle entry. And then, yes, everyone can see it. I like it. I like it. Antonio Pierce, why not? They respect him. Because Antonio Pierce was bad at his job. And I'll say, Antonio Pierce was the best. In terms of, doing the job that they laid out, I think Antonio Pierce did a better job than Josh McDaniels. I think Antonio Pierce did a better job than Pete Carroll. Because if there's one thing I'll give respect to AP, he did have a lot of respect in that locker room. No doubt about it. You could definitely tell that he was in over his head, and I think that that's an okay statement to make. He was clearly in over his head. But AP's plan, at least, I think would have worked. It didn't happen, tried to trade for Jaden Daniels, tried to get Cliff Kingsbury as your OC. I almost wonder if those two things would have happened, how much different this organization, how much different this team would have been. But from K-Pop, he says AP has no respect for the Raiders. That's the other reason, though, why I wouldn't hire Antonio Pierce. And I don't blame AP for feeling a type of way in regards to the Raiders because of how, I don't know if I would like Chat Sports if they fired me, right? It's just the way that it would go. But, wanting to hire Antonio Pierce is just like wanting to hire John Gruden. Why would you hire somebody that already their first time he gave him a job, didn't do a good enough job to be able to keep that job? Now, I know John was fired for different reasons, but at the same time, why would you want to hire somebody that was bad at their job the first time? I'm more in the boat of, I think the Raiders' problem is we hire guys that have already had their legacy, and I'll keep saying it over and over. I want to hire somebody that wants to make their legacy with the Raiders. Instead, we're hiring guys that have already made their legacy elsewhere and don't really care about, I guess, their legacy here. I know AP wanted to make his legacy here with the Raiders, and I know that he did, but I think we also quickly saw just he was in over his head. And it's okay to say that. Like I can want to be a marathon runner. I'm just not a marathon runner. There's no matter how much I train, how much I want to, it's just not going to make a difference. Philip Boger, I see you, my man. You in the duck race. And then Carlos Comedy, also in the duck race. $20 Venmo. Right now you have an opportunity to go home with $70 on the program. 70 on the program. I do think we have a few super chats that I see rolling in from Suave. Rustin, we'll get to him here in just a second. Chugs is building like Bob the Builder back there, getting all these pictures set up. No, you're okay. You're okay. Yeah, I saw Suave and Rustin. Suave, my problem is more with Pete than anyone else. He got his quarterback in Geno, and his kid is a job when Chip is supposedly running the offense. Don't get me wrong, dude. I agree with you, okay? When I do this show, it's very hard to be able to, balance what I want the Raiders to do, what I think the Raiders are going to do. I always try to give you my honest opinion. Me sitting up here saying that I think Chip Kelly's going to get fired is not me saying that Chip's the only one that, should get fired. I want to be patient, and I want the Pete Carroll regime to be able to prove me wrong. But the biggest problem that this team has right now is Pete Carroll. And I do believe that. I really, truly believe that the biggest issue with the 2025 Las Vegas Raiders is Pete Carroll. I'm not saying that Pete wasn't a great head coach at one time. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying the job that he has done for the Raiders, and if you really just look at the job, right? The job that he did, way worse than Antonio Pierce. Just the job, worse than Josh McDaniels. And that's also on top of when you have gotten everything that you've asked for. Now, maybe they were just trying to sell us on that they weren't actually trying to tank. Maybe they are trying to tank and they're just trying to, stockpile and get ready for the future. But if Pete Carroll is going to keep on dying on the hill that they wanted to win this year, they were trying to win this year, I actually think it would be better if he was like, nah, we were just saying that. Because if you're looking at me saying that you are trying to win and you wanted to win and this is the team that you put together, it's just you didn't only fail in the regular season, you failed in the offseason too, Pete. And that's honest. Pete Carroll failed since February. He was hired in February. I don't know how you look at where we are right now and don't think that Pete Carroll has been an absolute failure at his job. Rustin Long, happy Veterans Day to my fellow vets. Rustin, I got you in, man. Hope everyone is having a great day. We need to be looking for new, young, innovative talent for our next head coach. I completely agree, dude. And I'll just keep on dying on this hill of I want somebody new, young, innovative, somebody that wants to make their legacy for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think if you bring that person in with their quarterback of their choosing, good things can happen. And I think when you look around the NFL right now, that's exactly what's happening. So this picture is who? Justin who? Justin Blackburn. Sorry, I just saw one coming in here from Tom Pelissero. Justin Tucker's 10-game suspension officially was lifted by the commissioner today. Tucker is eligible to sign with any team. You think he signs anywhere? I agree. I don't think so either. Appreciate the picture, and you in. This one coming in is Day-Day. White folk gangsters in the club. 888. 888. 888. 888. What up, Day-Day? I got you in, my brother. And again, y'all, if you want to be able to go out there and support saveawarrior.org/donate, just make sure that you tell them that Father Tom sent you. Born a Raider fan. Bring Bisaccia back. His contract ends next year. Again, man, I love Bisaccia. And I think the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce because of the way that things went with Bisaccia. I just don't want the Raiders to continue to chase the past And I think by hiring Bisaccia, you're chasing the past. I want a young, innovative new coach. If you told me that, hey, we could bring Bisaccia back to be the special teams coordinator on the Raiders after firing McMahon, I would love that opportunity, right? And I think all of us would love that. But also at the exact same time, I don't think Bisaccia wants to come back to the Raiders. And, I had the privilege a few years ago when Bisaccia, I met Bisaccia's daughter multiple times at some parties here in Dallas. And I'm not saying she said anything to me, but, I think obviously a few people told her what I did. We talked for a little bit. It was nothing, again, she probably don't even remember me, right? But I remember it. And I just remember her kind of discussing, and from a family standpoint, Bisaccia was really hurt by the Raiders organization. Now, time heals wounds, and, I bet if he was given a job, like he would take a job with the Raiders instead of not having any job at all in the NFL. I definitely think that. But if we settle on Rich Bisaccia as our next head coach, like that to me would be really disappointing. It would be really, really disappointing. I would rather you just keep Pete Carroll, and hopefully that ends up going in the right direction than bringing Bisaccia back. If you want to bring him back, special teams coach, where do I sign up? Quite frankly, if you were to move on from PG, you move on from Chip Kelly, you've already moved on from Tom McMahon, bringing Bisaccia back would be a very, very popular move in that locker room. And I know there's not many Raiders players that were on that team when Bisaccia was there, but it would be a popular move because of the players that were there, how loud their voices are in that locker room. It would be a good hire. Coming up here live on the show, I want to get into the next part here of this program, which is going to be the good and the bad news. Because we got some good news, we got some bad news. There's more good news, I would say, to discuss than bad news overall. But that's what we're going to be breaking down today. To Jeff, I see your super chat. We're going to get to that one after the show from Suave. We'll hit them both. We'll hit them both after the good and the bad news. Also, Bronson, I see ya. I hear ya. You, sir, are in the duck race. 20 to win, $80 as it stands right now. 20 to win, $80 as it stands right now. So, you guys ready to get into this good and bad news? Let me just get a sip of my water here real quick. Or I guess I should say my energy drink. Some of you are like, Mitch, if that's the water that they're giving you at Chat Sports, then you guys need better filters. You're not wrong. Oh, man. Yeah, you haven't said that many times. That might be the first time that's ever been said. Probably the first time. All right, y'all. Oh, wow. Yeah, the Cowboys have activated linebacker I can't say it. Overshown from the PUP list. Former Texas Longhorn. And Revel. And the second-round pick. Oh, dude, I loved him out of ECU. Long, lanky, super athletic. I'm telling y'all this right now. Monday Night Football could be ugly. Monday Night Football might not be good. Logan Wilson, Quinnen Williams. I mean, it's going to look like a brand new Cowboys defense. It's going to be a brand new Cowboys defense. Coming up! True. No, I mean, Matt Eberflus. I mean, they also don't have a lot of talent on that team. Only run zone. True. Geno is good at attacking the zone, but also everything I thought Geno was good at, he's not good at anymore. So I don't know what to think. What I do think is this. I am going to go the less on all things Raiders on Prize Picks. Coming up, let's get into the good and bad news here on the Raiders Report. We got some good news and we got some bad news. Though I will say we do have more good news on today's show than we do bad. If you don't know who I am, my name is Mitchell Renz. I'm host of the Raiders Report. And whether it's good, whether it's bad, if you're looking for Raiders news every single day, I hope that you hit that subscribe button because that's what we do here. 100% free. Watch the show. If you don't enjoy the content that we provide after a week, I'll just say unsubscribe. You got absolutely positively nothing to lose. Now, I am recording this video on Tuesday while I am live, so I just want to put that out there. And you guys are going to get this video. And if you haven't already seen, Jackson Powers Johnson is officially headed to IR. What that means is he is out a minimum of 4 weeks. And if I had to guess, he's probably going to be done for the season unless the Raiders go on some sort of a run late in the season. And, dude, fingers crossed, man. 10-7. Where the hell can I sign up for that? I do some weird-ass shit for the Raiders to be 10-7. I'm not going to lie to you. But this offensive line, y'all, is it's going to give me nightmares. And this is what I would guess potentially is the Raiders' offensive line. Now, there still is no update at the time that I'm recording this video on Dylan Parham, but a friendly reminder, I did make a video on Monday, and I had a source tell me that Dylan Parham is dealing with an ankle injury and probably is going to be out a few weeks. Maybe that ends up happening. Maybe, we get some better information tomorrow once the injury report comes out. But the real bad news is Alex Kappa. And Alex Kappa might be the Raiders' starting right guard up against the Dallas Cowboys team that's got a lot of extra new faces on the defensive side of the football, which is never, ever a good thing. I also am the type of person where I want to listen to my wife as much as humanly possible, and she always tells me, Mitch, hit me with the bad news before you're going to hit me with the good news. So before we get into the good news on today's show, I just want y'all to show JPJ some love, and he's been seeing it. His family's been seeing it, and the outstanding remarks around Jackson Powers Johnson have all been really good. And I think that it's important because you and I know that this coaching staff has treated JPJ kind of in a weird way. And when you have an injury like this, my number one thing that I was worried about was crap, does JPJ think about, or is he worried about, this organization potentially moving on from him next offseason after suffering this injury? From what I understand right now, JPJ is actually in good spirits, and he feels the love. He posted on his Instagram story when he announced that he was going to be headed to the IR. He had posted a picture on IG where he's got Max Crosby. He's got his arms up like this. They're taking him off the field, and even though he was not carted off the field, once he got to the sidelines, they ended up, unfortunately, having to bring out that cart. Took him out to the locker room. The rest is history. But JPJ feels your love. And I'll also say this. His mom posted this on social media. And again, shout out to the JPJ family. Shout out to Mama Powers Johnson. I get by with a little help from my friends, the Beatles. Thank you, Raider Nation. The outpouring of love has been heartwarming and overwhelming. Attacking recovery. We love you as big as love is. Raider Nation for life, Raiders. And all I'll say is this. I want us Raider fans to just keep showing love to JPJ, to keep showing love to him because I want him to be the center next season. I want him to remain a focal point on this interior offensive line, and I don't want him to think that we don't want him back because what I am concerned about, and I'm going to continuously be concerned about it, is that this organization might try to move on from him from next offseason. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think that there's some good news today. The Raiders didn't sign an offensive lineman. If you would have told me that JPJ hit an IR, what's a move that I think that this organization can make, I would have guessed that they either would have promoted an interior offensive lineman, they would have gone out and signed an offensive lineman, but instead, the Raiders went out and they signed a player on the defensive side of the football, and I'm happy that they didn't sign anybody on the O-line because that tells me this. Now, sure, they could roll with Kappa, and sure, they could roll with Will Putnam, but not signing an offensive lineman gives me extra hope that Caleb Rogers might actually be active this Monday against the Cowboys, and Caleb Rogers, who we drafted in the third round, might actually get some playing time, which I think would be really good for us overall as a team. I would rather see what Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant have than Alex Kappa and Will Putnam, and it's not close. Where I also think, I'm not saying that Charles Grant's going to play guard. What the Raiders could do, though, is you could put Charles Grant at left tackle. You could put him at right tackle. You might be able to kick Stone Forsythe over to right tackle, kick DJ Glaze into right guard if you want to keep Charles Grant over there. The fact that you didn't sign an offensive lineman when JPJ hit IR, I hope means, Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers could see the field on Monday night. Let's go to other good news here. The Raiders went out and they signed linebacker, former first-round pick from Kentucky, Jamin Davis. Now, I will admit, I was very off on Davis. This was a player that I liked a lot coming out of college because he was a really, really good athlete. And he ended up getting promoted from the practice squad to the active 53-man roster today. He's played in 54 games, started in 36. Now, he hasn't started since 2023, but to me, I know that some of y'all might not know who Jamin Davis is. Mitch, why is this good news? It's not so much good news about the signing of Davis. Like, to me, Jamin Davis probably ain't going to make any difference on this team. And I don't think that a lot of y'all thought that he was going to. But to me, when you make a move and you lose JPJ, and the move that you make as a linebacker, that makes me think, do they plan on using that linebacker? Because Davis is a good athlete. And I think that he's going to help us on special teams. At least I hope, for the love of God out there, that he helps us on special teams. And that's actually how I think he's going to make the biggest impact on this squad. But I do wonder, could he play a Jamal Adams role? Because Jamal Adams was a player that was considered gone, toasted, not good anymore. They converted him to a linebacker, and because he brings that fire, he brings that energy, he's able to play a solid role. I almost wonder if the Raiders would decide to use somebody along the lines of a Jamin Davis in a Jamal Adams role, and you play Devin White a little bit less. Now, I will say the depth chart there has not been updated because, Davis is on the team, and then Brennan Jackson is no longer on the squad. But overall, I do think by the Raiders going out and getting a guy like Jamin, does that help you decide to play Devin White less? If I were the Raiders, in all honesty, how I would try to use them, I would try to use Jamin Davis as a potential pass rusher because he's athletic enough. I would use Devin White, honestly, a little bit more as a pass rusher, because if you want to keep on using Devin, you got to stop playing him so much at linebacker. And what I'm hoping honestly happens is Jamin plays more special teams, Jamal Adams gets more opportunities at linebacker, Devin White gets less linebacker snaps, and maybe more pass rush snaps to take over for Malcolm Koonce. That, to me, is what I am hoping the Jamin Davis signing is. But that logic right there that I just walked through is the exact same reason why the Raiders should honestly consider hiring me, because I know this team better than the way that this Raiders team is coached. Coming up next here, though, we got more good news around the silver and black, and we're going to get into all of that here in just a moment. Before we do, though, if you don't know, I'm always going to show love to our sponsors, and especially when they're America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. And the hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play. If you want a power play, you can go with a power play. And on Monday Night Football, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now, if you want to roll with my Monday Night Football lineup, Raiders, Cowboys, download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, I'm hoping I'm right. I'm also kind of hoping I'm not right, because my wife's a Cowboys fan, and even though I love putting money in my pocket, I'd be much, much happier as an individual if Genty gave me more, if Brock gave me more, if Geno gave me more, and if Pickens gave me less. But you know what? I'm going to think with my head today and not my heart, and that's exactly why I'm rolling with that lineup. Let's go to the last good news bit here. The Raiders signed Greg Joseph to the practice squad, and I'm happy the Raiders did it because they could do it, and they could have signed a kicker to the practice squad, and I'm happy that they did it because he's got a career 82.2% kicking percentage. In the 6 games that he played in last season, he was 13-16. Actually, all 3 of the field goals that he missed were from 40 yards, between 40 to 49 yards. He was 4-7. He was 1 for 1 from 50. On the extra points, 3 for 3. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and go, man, I am super excited that the Raiders went out and got Greg Joseph. What I'm more excited about is what it means. And to me, it means extra competition for Daniel Carlson. It means that we are actually putting words that we say as coaches into use. Because Pete, he challenged a few people with some comments that he made after Thursday Night Football about mistakes being made by young players. And, if you keep making those mistakes, you're going to get moved on from. Daniel Carlson's in the final year of his contract, and he has not been good this season. He's 75% from field goal range. I'm not saying that Daniel Carlson has cost us 3 games. What I will say is that our special teams unit absolutely has cost us 3 games. You look at the blocked field goal on Chicago. That wasn't on Daniel, and that's probably the only one that wasn't on Daniel. The missed extra point against Jacksonville, I could say that was the reason why we lost that game. The missed field goal, the 48-yarder this past week against Denver, that could have been a reason why Daniel needs to hit that one. I just am a big fan of when a coaching staff says they're going to do something and they back it up. The going out and getting Greg Joseph is you saying something and backing it up, which is what I respect, Pete. So Greg Joseph addition. Do you think that it's good competition for Carlson? Because again, I'm not going to sit up here and say oh, I love the Greg Joseph signing. The Greg Joseph signing is good competition for Daniel Carlson because our kicking unit, our special teams unit, it just needs to be better. If you agree with that statement, give me an A. You can agree. If you disagree with it, type D. If you got ADHD, then type ADHD down below if I already lost you. But seriously, though, we are going to be live Monday Night Football, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over and over again. It's a big game for me. It's a big game for Chugs. I hope that you guys pull up. Our wives are Cowboys fans. We live down here in Dallas, and you know what? Some more Cowboys news literally just rolling in here from Adam Schefter. Cowboys officially activated the Marvian Overshown and defensive back Siobhan Revel. So Siobhan Revel was somebody that I love. Remember the long, lanky corner out of ECU? I said that could have been a Pete Carroll guy. Also, Overshown from Texas just gives them more help than being able to get after the quarterback. On top of adding Quinnen Williams, this is going to look like a very, very different Dallas Cowboys defense. What do you say? Logan Wilson also is the player they went out and got. You're talking about 4 new starters on a defense up against our interior offensive line. Of course it scares me. But I've also seen this team lose a game 3-0 and 3 days later beat the Chargers 61-23. So you never know what could end up happening. What I do know is this. I'm going to be going up against the Cowboys Report. I'm going to be going up against Tom Downey, and I hope that you rock with us because even if we lose on the field, I don't want to lose on YouTube. Let's go to my man, Suavemente. What up, Suave? Thank you. That's all I'm saying. And also, he's not letting Graham run his defense either. Shake my head. I'll still say that I think the defense that we're running is a much more Pete Carroll defense than a Patrick Graham defense. I think the other part about looking at that defense is there's just not a lot of talent, and that's the truth. That's not something I put on PG. I do think that Patrick's got to do a better job of being able to make in-game adjustments, put certain players, where they're designed to go. But I agree with you. I think that Pete Carroll is the biggest issue we have with this team. The problem is, though, and you guys will know, I'm never afraid to say fire this guy, fire that guy. There's a reason why I'm not saying fire Pete Carroll. Because everything that I'm being told is, it's just not going to happen. And until I get even a glimpse that it could happen, I'm going to keep on pointing the finger at other moves that I think could end up happening. What's up, Jeff? Appreciate you tuning in. Any chance they bring in either Kubiak or Mike LaFleur next year if they fire Chip Kelly? If Mike LaFleur, the head coach, if LaFleur ends up getting kicked out of Green Bay, God bless you, I would hire. What? Which one is it? Head coach of the Packers. Oh, Mike LaFleur. Sorry, we were just talking about LaFleur out there, so that's exactly where I went. That's the play caller. Yeah. Mike LaFleur is the play caller for the Rams. Okay. I was going to say, we were earlier at the Chat Sports Studios, we were talking about LaFleur for Green Bay and then potentially moving on from him, which I would hire him over Pete Carroll. In terms of Mike LaFleur from the Los Angeles Rams, I would love to be able to hire him, right? But they're not going to come in and be your offensive coordinator. At least I personally don't think so. I would say Kubiak, like Clint, he's going to get a head coaching job. There's going to be somebody that looks at what he's doing in Seattle, and he's going to get a head coaching job. The only way that Mike LaFleur might come here is if he goes, hey, man, listen up. The only way I'm coming here is if I'm the one calling the shots, I'm the one calling the plays, and when Pete Carroll leaves, I get a brand new job. But I will always say, if you can give me somebody from the Sean McVay tree, where the hell do I sign up? Where the hell do I sign up for anybody on the Mike LaFleur or anybody on the Sean McVay tree? But Brian Dable, I would have over Chip Kelly. Either of the LaFleurs I'd hire over Chip Kelly. There's so many people. What's hard about the Raiders situation is the Raiders are going to look for an offensive coordinator, but if you want to hire, I think, a truly great offensive coordinator, you probably got to fire Pete Carroll. Like, if you really, truly want to hire somebody great, you're probably going to have to fire Pete. And I don't know if the Raiders are going to do that. Though, Pete was their third option. That's something that we got to remember. Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel were options 1 and 2 for the Raiders. Pete Carroll was option 3. Maybe they asked Pete to step down, kind of like Seattle did. What's up, I? Thoughts on Brian Dable coming over? Much love. I think Brian Dable is very similar to a guy like Josh McDaniels in terms of probably not somebody you want to be the head coach of your team, but has been able to prove that he can develop a quarterback and can run a good offense from an offensive coordinator standpoint. I'll say this. I think Dable ends up going back to Buffalo. I think Joe Brady is going to get another opportunity somewhere, and then Dable will probably just go to Buffalo. But I would love to bring Brian Dable in. Absolutely, positively. Would absolutely, positively love to bring Dable in, especially with some of the young quarterbacks that there are coming out in this year's draft. Like, I'm okay with the idea of Dable as OC. I'm okay with it. Let's go to Eric Castro. Wanting Chip to be fired is so dumb when he has Geno Smith throwing so many interceptions and a terrible offensive line. There's only so much he can call. And, Eric, I'll say this. Wanting Chip to be fired is dumb when he has Geno Smith. I don't think that that's true at all. I would encourage you to just go watch maybe some of the tape on Chip and see some of the play sequences and just how he designs things. Like, the first play that's going to come to my mind, 3rd down and 2, quarterback sneak with Geno Smith. Like, that play call should never happen, but that's a panic play call, right? Like, that's just you in that moment panicking and not doing what you're supposed to be able to do. That's just one example that I have. I do agree, though, that it's not just a Chip Kelly issue. It is a bad offensive line, and it is a Pete Carroll problem, and it is a Geno Smith problem. But at the exact same time, to say that wanting Chip Kelly to be fired is dumb, I'm going to try to refrain from some of the other things that I'd probably say to that because I know you're a real one and you always tune into the show. And again, Geno hasn't been good. I think you could blame Geno Smith and Chip Kelly both equally. Absolutely, positively, you could blame both of them equally. And this organization is going to pick a favorite because that's what they do. They pick favorites. But I would fire Chip. I would move on from Pete if I could. Personally, I personally would move on from Pete because I think that there's probably 10 candidates that are going to come out this year that would do a better job than what Pete would do. But based on the information I've been given, that's not going to happen. We're going to look for a new offensive coordinator. But also, it's also not just Chip Kelly being bad with the Raiders. Chip Kelly has been really bad in the NFL now. When you look at his last sample sizes of him being an OC, I do wonder if teams have figured him out. And I wonder if Chip's not good enough anymore to be able to find new ways to win in the NFL. Because what if I also told you that, I think where we're going to go is this team's going to end up hating Chip Kelly almost as equally as much as they hated Josh McDaniels. And I don't know if it'll ever get to that point. I hope it never does get to that point. But, Chip's failing on and off the field. He is by far the most disliked coach on that Raiders team. And I don't think any player is ever going to say anything to me about it. I don't think anybody out in the circles is going to say anything about it. But I will say it over and over again that Chip Kelly is the most disliked Raiders coach on that staff. It's not particularly close, but that shouldn't surprise anybody because that's the Chip Kelly track record, and it shows time and time again. Time and time again. Rebel, the cake is a lie. I don't know what that means. Is it from a show where you're is this cake or is this actually a purse? Yeah, is it cake or is it chip? You just put a knife down the middle of it. You're hopefully that was cake. Cake. All right, y'all. Reminder, if you want to get in our duck race today, it's a $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. I just saw Neil, and I got you in. My dad decided to get it in. Fabian Moreno, you in. And then Richard Kelly also in to Fabian Moreno, to a few of our bang MVPs that we've had through past recent months. I've literally just got something today dropped off on my desk. So to Patrick Roche, to Fabian Moreno, and to Alex McGuire. You guys are going to see some pretty cool things happening in the next few weeks, if you will, here on the Raiders Report. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, no bangs yet, and that's okay. To me, I wanted to think of ways where we could have a little bit of fun with, salute to service. We're going to play some games here. I'm always just going to give you guys deals, and I know sometimes people get upset when we give you deals, but again, to me, this is a restaurant, right? You walk into a restaurant, you don't have to buy anything, but I'm still going to put a menu in case you do want to get anything. And again, that's how I put a roof over my head. That's how I put food on my plate. I know that not everybody runs shows the way that I do, but that's just the way that we've always done it here. We're going to give you guys opportunities, and that's just how it goes. Carlos says, Mitch doesn't know shit. He said Gino was good. Honestly, Carlos, I don't mind you being that angry towards me. I don't mind it, and I am kicking myself in the ass for wanting Geno Smith to be good. But to say that the problem with the statement is I believe too much in Geno Smith, Chip Kelly, and this current regime, but you at least got to be able to show Geno some respect and love because from 2022 to 2024, he was a good quarterback. And if we could have got that Geno Smith, we'd be 5-4 right now. And I actually do believe that. If we got that version of Geno Smith, we'd be a 5-4 football team right now. And, yeah, man, I would do, like I said before, I would do some sus shit for a 5-4 football team. That's just how it is. But I'm not going to blame any Raider fan for being mad at me because I was hopeful in Geno Smith. I'll also say this, though, to any Raider fan out there. You go look at my quarterbacks that I wanted the Raiders to go out and get this past year. Sam Darnold was number one on that list in terms of veterans. You go look at veterans. You don't believe me? You go check it out. Sam Darnold was number one on my list. I don't think Geno was definitely not top 3. I think Geno was number 4 on my list. But I'll also say this, though. I didn't expect Sam Darnold to do as well as what he did, right? Like, you're going to have a lot of takes, and I make more takes than anybody out there. All I ask, though, is, and this is an honest statement, if I have one bad take, that doesn't mean all of my takes are bad. Just like if I have one good take, that doesn't mean all of my takes are good. But I think that people that watch the show every single day know that we've had way more good takes than bad takes. It's kind of like, if you ever look at sports betting, if somebody's hitting 60% of the time in sports betting, that's phenomenal. Phenomenal. Like, very, very good. In my mind, I'm way above that number. And, again, I'm just as frustrated as y'all. And probably the number one thing that I'm guilty of being is a hopeful Raiders fan. I'm always going to be hopeful in the offseason. If being hopeful in the offseason is something you don't want, I'm probably not going to be your guy. But I love the Raiders. I love Raider Nation. I love being able to cover this team. And I'm going to be hopeful when I can control it, because during the season, I don't know if it can happen. So from the moment the Super Bowl is over until week 1 of that season kicks off, you're going to get a hopeful Raiders fan. Call me crazy, call me hopeful, call me a Raiders fan. All right, y'all. Today is National Sunday Day, and our Tuna's Top 5 is going to be around the top toppings for an ice cream sundae. I did think about doing something for, salute to service. I'm not going to lie, though. I was like, I don't really want to rank anything, and I felt like people were going to get upset at us. So I said, all right, let's just look online. Today is National Ice Cream Sundae Day.
Number 5, National Guard.
Well, I was like, I could already see Navman being like, why is Navy not number 1?
I can make that joke because my brother's in the National Guard.
Why is Army beat Navy? I was like, that's literally like the way that I thought about doing it. Like,
number 5, National Guard.
All right, so let's do it this way.
That's the only one I'll do.
That's the only one? That's the only one? Ooh, also, Bayou, I sent you a message on Venmo. Or I did send you a message on Venmo. The email you sent me, I sent an email to it. It said it didn't exist, so I don't know if you mistyped it to me. I appreciate that you gave me your phone number. I'm always worried about giving out my phone number because a few people have unfortunately ruined it for everyone else. It's not that I don't trust you. It's just I'm just always scared giving out my phone number.
Weldinator says Brownie Bites #1
Brownie Bites #1
for best Sunday.
What do you guys think?
toppings.
Best topping on an ice cream sundae. Best toppings. Let me know down below. Today, our Tuna's top 5 is going to be the ice cream sundae toppings. What are we thinking, y'all? We got almost 500 people here in the building. Preston Rodriguez is going to go with caramel. I love caramel on ice cream, though I don't, is it a topping? Chocolate shell, like when it freezes. Is that a topping?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Hot fudge.
You're going to see mine. Off the rip, I'm going to cheat.
I love it.
Candy. I'm going
All candy.
like either M&M's
Yeah.
or Butterfingers or like whatever kind of like crushed candy bars they have. Heath Bar.
Okay, so crushed candy bar.
Yes.
Like you're not putting like Sour Patch Kids.
No. I'm talking like,
I was gonna say that's the craziest thing I've ever
like
heard.
crushed candy bars, like Butterfingers, Heath Bar, Snickers. Yeah, those are the big 3.
I was just gonna say. I mean,
Reese's.
oh yeah, Reese's Pieces.
Oh yeah, all of those count. And number 4,
Okay.
Oreo.
Ooh.
Crumbled Oreos on top. Love me some Oreos. Milk's favorite cookie, but ice cream loves it too as a little side piece.
I figured this would be #1 on your list.
Number 3 is nuts. D's.
That's crazy. I mean, all kinds of nuts. Is there certain nuts?
Like salted peanuts or roasted peanuts, like the crushed peanuts that you get.
Does the size matter? How big the nuts are in your
Yeah,
sundae?
they have to be small. They have to
okay.
be crushed peanuts, or else it's
Just too much of a mouthful.
yeah.
You don't want to choke on anything. I gotcha.
Number 2, which
I don't know if it's spelt right.
yeah, I think I missed an A.
It's fine. I mean, it just, to me, if you put CARMEL on a menu, it just means it's cheaper.
Caramel.
Caramel's cheaper than caramel.
I'm going caramel. Number 2, love some like a good caramel sauce.
Oh, dude.
So good.
It's
Love a good caramel sauce.
Like a salted caramel
like-
on some ice
like
cream.
maybe like a blondie ice cream and then caramel sauce on top. Brr. And number 1, and it's not even close to me, is hot fudge.
Ooh.
If hot fudge isn't your number 1, are you even having a sundae? I think the same thing as like the shell topping, like the hard shell.
Yep.
I count that as the same thing as like that hot fudge. Hot fudge is number 1, and it's not even close.
Do you think banana split is the most overrated sundae? Because
Oh,
I do.
I love banana split, and hot take,
Okay.
Dippin' Dots, banana split's the best flavor.
I don't know if I've ever had it. I actually like banana flavored things, but to me, I actually think like a banana split, I don't think I would ever get because I would rather no bananas in my ice cream.
Oh, I love bananas in the ice cream.
Hot fudge, though, hot fudge always hits.
I love bananas in the ice cream. I also love bananas Foster in the ice cream. A couple scoops of vanilla ice cream, some bananas Foster on top. Oh,
See, bananas Foster, no doubt about it. Sorry, my computer's going to die. Hang on. We're good. Like caramelized anything, I'm in.
yeah.
I'm in.
Close but no cigar for my list. Like chocolate chip cookies were up there. Marshmallows were in consideration.
One thing I'm surprised that's not on here, and I don't disagree with it, but when I do think of sundae, I do think of sprinkles. For me personally, I would not get sprinkles.
Okay. I was about to say.
Like if you put sprinkles on my sundae, that's fine, but I feel like if you still put sprinkles on your sundae, you should probably hold somebody's hand when crossing the street.
And that's the same reason whipped cream and cherry on top don't make my list. I mean, it's a nice touch. Same with the sprinkles, but in reality, it's not needed. It makes it look better.
I love cherries. Like I would much rather have cherries on my ice cream than a banana. Maraschino, black cherry, cherry way over a banana. Unless you eat it the long
Pokemon says
way.
you're sleeping on butterscotch syrup.
See, butterscotch is very I would eat butterscotch on a sundae. I would, and it's good. But like it's
Mike Nintendo Master says
even for me, butterscotch is very sweet.
Mike Nintendo Master says I like the sprinkles, whipped cream, and a cherry on top.
Dude, that sounds gas.
What ice cream do you use for a sundae? Do you just go base vanilla and chocolate, or do you?
If I had to pick, I'll always go chocolate over vanilla in terms of a sundae just because I like chocolate. I mean, if I can mix and match ice cream flavors,
Yeah.
then yeah, I mean, I would take flavors over.
Mike, I did see your new rankings, very highly contested here in the office.
Very, very highly contested. I'm also mad, Mike, that you didn't buy into my bribe. So I'm a little disappointed in that. I told Mike that I would do a beer bong on our Red Zone stream if I was number one. I don't think I was number one based on what I heard out there. I don't remember where I was ranked, Mike, but I know I wasn't number one. I know I wasn't one.
Bubble gum with vanilla birthday cake pieces from Mike Nintendo.
But I'm going to be honest, that's my last overall pick for ice cream. You could put me at last place for that one, Mike. If you gave me right now bubble gum with vanilla birthday cake pieces, I'd say go hold your mom's hand as you're walking across the street to go get your sprinkles.
No, thank you.
I'm good on that one, Mike. It's all love,
Mike
man.
says, Mitch, I don't take bribes.
All right, I got a deal for you, Mike.
How come I saw a Venmo from Will to you? Huh?
Mike, what is it going to take for you to take a bribe? How about that? What is it going to take for you to take a bribe?
How do you feel about strawberry sauce on it?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. June. Sad to say, we will have a 0% chance to grab Mendoza in the draft. Jets are taking him all day, maybe even Miami. You know, the only reason why I'll say you can't say there's a 0% chance that we're going to get him is because you got to give the Jets some credit. That team showed a lot of life. That team showed a lot of heart. I get it. It was Nick Mangold Day, and they were playing with a little bit of extra juice, and they were going up against Cleveland. But that team's still fighting for Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn is fighting for his job because, like you said, Mendoza, I personally think if the New York Jets have the number one overall pick, you could say goodbye to Aaron Glenn. And I think Glenn knows that because they're then going to be able to bring in an offensive-minded coach. I think it's going to end up being Clint Kubiak based on my sources. And I think that they're going to go out. They're going to get a quarterback at number one overall. I do not – the one good part about a lot of this, though, is there are some other quarterbacks that I'm starting to like more and more and more. And then you also just got to consider, like, what the draft process is. Like, think about the last year's draft process. If I would have told you that the Las Vegas Raiders would have had a shot to draft Shedeur Sanders in the 4th round, y'all would have laughed at me in the face and said that you're freaking crazy, Mitch. But Shedeur was a quarterback that we talked about going in the top 6, talked about going very early, ends up falling to the 5th round. I don't think that's going to happen with Mendoza. I think my bigger point is the draft is so far away and so many things can happen and can change. So to say that there's a 0% chance, I don't think is a fair thing to say at all. But I definitely don't think that there's a good chance. If the Jets pick in front of the Raiders, the Jets are taking a quarterback, right? Like, the Jets are going to take a quarterback. You don't do what they did unless you plan on taking a quarterback. Now, the only other way that I might be able to disagree with you on that is if they said, all right, there's a quarterback that maybe they like a lot in 2027. I don't know. Maybe there's a guy they like a lot in 2027. We'll see. Let's go to Rich Wolf. How juiced is the city of Dallas right now? Nico and L-Boy. Well, I wish I could tell you all the things that were said today at the Chat Sports Studios, but I'll just say this, man. The city of Dallas is rejoicing in a way that I don't know if I've ever seen them rejoice. Like there are people discussing the parade around firing Nico Harrison, being potentially as big as what it was when the Rangers won the World Series. Now, again, like the Rangers winning the World Series, a lot more people showed up for, but the amount of people
not that many showed up.
No. I mean, compared to most parades.
It was one of the lamest parades we've seen.
It was definitely one of the more lame parades, but I still think Super Bowl, World Series compared to a guy getting fired. Like, think about what Raider fans would think if Mark Davis was fired, and I think you times that by 10. Times it by 10.
Times it by 10.
You don't think? in terms of the city of excitement.
I can see it.
I again, man, like I'm not kidding you. It's Nico, like, and Nico Harrison honestly should leave the city of Dallas. Like I actually don't think it's safe for him to be here.
Young Money.
I want to see Diego Pavia in the silver and black. I think Pavia is a really fun player, and I've explained to people Pavia is like the right-handed Tim Tebow to me, where great college leader, great college football quarterback. But I think you could pretty easily see that he doesn't have the tools to get it done on a every week basis in the NFL. I've been wrong before. I might be wrong again, but there's a team right now. I don't know if there's a team in college football that I root for more than the Vanderbilt Commodores. They're built on physical toughness. They try to win in the trenches, and Diego Pavia is a freaking baller. You know who else is a baller? The Weldinator! Bang! The Weldinator increasing his lead up to 18 bangs in the month of November. He not only was our bang MVP in October, he right now is the bang MVP for the month of November. And for those of you that do not know, we have officially filled the Raiders Report helmet on game days. It's already been signed by Jeremy Chuggs and I. If you bang in the month of November, we're going to do a raffle at the very, very end of the month. So the Weldinator has banged 18 times as it stands right now. He gets 18 raffle tickets. Yoda Jenkins has banged 16 times. He gets 16 raffle tickets. If you have banged in the month of November, we're going to put you in a raffle, and one of y'all is going to have the opportunity to go home with a first ever signed Raiders Report helmet from Jeremy Chuggs and I. I want to be able to do another one of these, and if you're wondering what the decals are, it's people who have banged on game day. Since so many of y'all banged last Thursday night, it filled up rather quickly, but we're going to be giving that away this year. So, you guys ready to play our first game? Our first game for Salute to Service, a part of the Tuna Wheel. Actually, let me read this first. Raiders, shout out to all the veterans. Thank you for your service. Mitch, if Pete and Chip get fired, I say we bring back Gruden, also bring back Scott Turner and Norv Turner as OC. In my opinion, I think they would gel well together. Less draft power for Gruden. Oh, boy.
I had to make
Well,
sure
then, I'll say this,
I
man.
had to make sure that Norv Turner was still with us. He is.
No, he was with us last
73.
year. Well, Norv, Scott, they were with us last year. Well, then I'm not gonna lie. I think I would jump off of a cliff. Guys, I don't know what I would do if this is what the Raiders did. I think bringing back Gruden would be a disaster, and I'll keep saying it because, again, man, like Gruden was bad in the draft. He was bad in free agency. He was bad in trades. He was a disaster in the offseason. We need to have a good offseason. We have a lot of money in salary cap space. We have a lot of draft picks. We need a lot of pieces to be able to retool this team. And Gruden already proved to you that he's not good in that department. I think if the Raiders wanted to bring back John Gruden, the absolute most capacity that I'd bring him back as is a offensive coordinator, maybe the quarterback coach. The number one reason why I wouldn't bring him back as a head coach is because I wouldn't want him to have all that power. Like, I really, truly wouldn't. And I do think that John is a smart football mind. And I do think John is somebody that people rally around and still people in this organization, love and respect dearly. But I think we also got to remember, like, the Raiders teams under Gruden would be really good in the first half of the season. And then they would not be very good in the second half of the season. And I think that's a lot of because of John Gruden's inability to make adjustments. And the reason why I don't want to go down that train again is because John Gruden's not a new, young, innovative mind. The reason why Gruden's name is getting brought up is because people love what he's doing over at Barstool, and he's a fun and he's an entertaining guy, and I know he's a fun and entertaining guy. And I actually think if Gruden was smart, he would either A, go to college football, because I think if Gruden went to a college football program, I think he would change that program. I really, really do. Like, today's day and age with NIL, with how much money would follow Gruden, with him being able to be like the face of that program. Like if I was Gruden, I really truly would try to go back to college. But I'll just again, man, I love you. I always appreciate y'all's 2 cents, but I would look for the nearest bridge and I would jump off it if that's what the Raiders did. So, Weldinator, the very first person to take advantage of our Salute to Service Tuna March, and here's how this one's going to go. Today is November 11th. Every single 11 comments that say USA, I got to march for 1 second. I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock here. All USA comments, get them going down below. As many USA comments as you can get down below. If we get, 1,000 USA comments here, it's a lot of marching for your boy. It's a lot of marching. We got marching. We got all sorts of different random things that I'm going to have to do. But shout out to the Weldinator for always being a legend, always being a real one. And from the bottom of my heart, dude, I appreciate how much love you always put up here on this program. I really, really do. Always appreciate it, Weldinator. So every single USA, there's going to be a lot. Your boy's going to be marching for a little bit. Your boy's going to be marching for a little bit. Also, the next super chat I just saw, Patrick Roche. Mr. Roche, it's good to have you back, man. Pat, I'm going to be wearing something very special for you very, very soon on one of the Raiders game days, so be on the lookout for that. I'll go to Patrick Roche's in just a second, but I see Zalesbo, Albert, Knight, Suava, what up, Raider Runner? Rustin Long down below. What's going on, Tuba? Jay Ray, Dan Williams. All right. We have officially hit 60 seconds. You guys keep spamming if you want. I'm looking right now. I'm seeing a little over.
Looks like you're going to have to march for about 48 seconds.
I was going to say, I'm looking at chat rate. 48-second march. Here we go. Oh, I'm actually worried I'm going to step.
Oh, well, no. Yeah, you got to do it for everybody to see.
Oh, you want me to go over there?
Well,
I can.
I want you to
march.
To go through the Chat Sports office.
Oh, all right. F it. Let's do it.
Could you possibly sing, like, God Bless America or, like, sing the national, like, something patriotic for us?
I got you.
Maybe try to start a USA chant out there?
All right, I got you. Cullen is all about a USA chant.
All right, here we go.
When the Raiders go marching in. 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 Raiders marching in. Can we get some USA chants out here from Cullen?
USA. USA.
Come on.
USA.
Louder. We're marching for salute service. Huh?
I said shout out.
We're marching. The Raiders are marching in. Though, I'm not going to lie. A lot of people doing work out there, Chugs. I don't think we're going to get them. Alpert, take your shirt off. Dilly, take your shirt off. Alpert. Though, I'm not going to lie. They,
And the crowd goes mild.
I was just going to say, people were like, what are you doing out there? What are you doing out there? Tuba, left, right, left, right, left, right. Rebel said the office looks quiet. Dude, I think right now, everyone right now is grinding to get their content out. I also realized that my marching abilities are not good. These pants were not made for marching. I really underestimated the ability to be able to do it. Though, we also always want to just say this, man. Every time that y'all show up and show love to us, I want to be able to show up and show love to you guys as well. LA Crash Dog, shout out to you, man. Gunny, Semper Fi. He always shows love to Save a Warrior, and because Weldinator ended up banging, if you guys want to be able to show your love as well, go to saveawarrior.org/donate. Tell them that Father Tom sent you, and I think the way that you got to be able to create love in the world is bring attention to things that maybe people don't know about. And if you've never heard of Save a Warrior, go to saveawarrior.org/donate.
Your daddy was home when you left. Your mama was home when you left.
Your sister was home when you left. The dog, the cat, the fish was home when you left. I left my home.
Johnny Silva,
to
happy
join
Veterans
the
Day
army.
to all of my brothers and sisters in arms. Oh, yeah, and go Raiders.
My home.
Let's go to Blake Goodwin. What up, Blake? What up, Blake? Thoughts on getting Byram Brown for quarterback in this year's draft out of South Florida State?
USF. He's good.
Is he good? Blake, it'll be another name that I'll add to my list. And I think what I really probably should start doing, because I feel bad of how often I'm like, I haven't watched tape on that guy. I haven't watched tape on that guy. Like, I spend so much time just focusing on the Raiders right now that I don't, pay attention to all these guys outside of college football. Like, Saturday is the only day that I have fully off to spend with my wife. And there's certain games that I watch, right? There's certain teams, games and teams that I watch. Haven't watched much of him, though. I did watch him up against North Texas, and that game was really good. Like, that's the only game that I've seen.
He's good.
And I'll be honest, I was not rooting for him. But that whole football team impressed me that day.
He's good.
Yeah?
He's really good.
Okay.
He's real good.
I'll add another to the list, though, Blake. Like, I don't want to just watch one or two games, make a decision on somebody. Like, I want to see what they look like in the best game they had this season. But actually, the games that I love watching are the games where they struggle, because you're going to find out a lot more about a quarterback in college based on the games that they struggle, how they bounce back, whether it's a game after, whether it's a quarter, whether it's a play, a series after, because you're just going to struggle so much more in the NFL than you do at the college level. So, but I'll add it to the list, man. Chug says he's pretty good, and I believe him. Mitch, clean Raider house. What do you think? I do think there has to come a point where we stop cleaning house literally every single time, all the time. But I do think that if there is a more qualified candidate, you should entertain the idea, right? Like, if Clint Kubiak was like, hey, I want to come be the Raiders head coach, I'm going to entertain that idea, right? There's just certain names that you have to entertain the idea. But, or the other option is this. Make Pete Carroll a true CEO head coach. Have him make absolutely positively no personnel decisions, absolutely positively no draft, no free agency, no decisions, and just let him be the CEO, right? Like, let him be the head of your household. Like, imagine like your grandparents are there. They're the head of the household, but mom and dad are still calling all the shots. The OC and the DC are still calling the shots. Just grandma and grandpa are there. That's honestly the way that I think Pete needs to run this team. I think you got to treat Pete the way that he's done, and I think the way that Pete Carroll has looked is, you could see the way Seattle moved on from him rather quickly and the way that they look right now. And I think the best way to do it is kind of the way Seattle did it, which is you don't ask him, you don't fire him, but you're just like, hey, like, you want to step down. I don't think that's a bad idea. It's not going to happen, though. Based on what I hear, I just don't think it's going to happen. Though, let's talk about this, okay? Next thing coming up here is going to be Chip Kelly replacements for the Las Vegas Raiders because, again, the Raiders have had conversations inside of that building about moving on from Chip. I don't think that it's going to happen during the season, but I am pretty confident that Chip's not going to be the Raiders OC next season, just based on, again, the info that has been provided to me. The NFL is a week-to-week league. If the Raiders go on a win streak and this team starts clicking, then maybe Chip ends up keeping his job, right? Like, here's what's crazy. I hope Chip does keep his job. Like, I hope Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator next season. I hope Geno Smith is the quarterback next season. Because you know what that means? They figured it out. I don't think they're going to figure it out, but I would love for them to be able to figure it out and get it together. I don't think it's going to happen. So what we're going to do next here is we're going to get in to the potential replacements for Chip Kelly. Also, Bayou, I saw your Venmo. I'll look at it after the show. That way I can do that. And again, to all of y'all out there, if you want to get in for our duck race, it's a $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Right now, you'd have the opportunity to go home with $120. And because y'all are going to be going home with whoever comes in first place with $120, I am going to match that donation to Save a Warrior. So whatever the winner gets, you keep that money. You keep that money. I'll just match it, and I'll give it to Save a Warrior. But a lot of people Oh, wow, this is crazy. This is NBA news, apparently. People around the league expect the Mavericks to test the trade market for Anthony Davis. It's unbelievable, man. Yeah, you gave up Luka Doncic. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. All right. Final segment on today's show, and then we're going to end on hopping on out of here. Weldinator, you, sir, are in. Appreciate you getting in the duck race, my guy. Now, winner going home with 130. Coming up, let's talk about some Chip Kelly replacements here on the Raiders Report. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, Chip Kelly replacements if the Las Vegas Raiders decide to firing him during the season. Now, all these candidates that you're going to see are not candidates that the Raiders would bring in 2026 because we got to be able to face the facts here. If you move on from Chip in the regular season, I don't think it's very likely that they move on from him in the regular season, but if they do, they would end up promoting an interim candidate. And there's a few guys that you could potentially look at, and we will look at those candidates today on this show. Now, if you did not know that the Raiders have had conversations about moving on from Chip Kelly, I do encourage you to check out a video that I released on Tuesday to just get a little bit more information out on it. But I had a source tell me that the Raiders are considering moving on from Chip Kelly. His job is in jeopardy, and he could end up being fired. Now, again, I was told this in baseline of probably not going to be fired this season, probably going to be fired in the next offseason. But overall, Chip Kelly potentially getting moved on from is something that we got to sit back, we got to look at, we got to be able to discuss, and you got to be able to sit up here and go that it's not likely that it happens. But anything in regards to the Raiders, it's definitely possible. So I'm going to give you guys a deal here. I'm a man that likes to create deals. It's how this show goes. If this video gets 2,000 likes, I'm going to do a Chip Kelly replacement video based on outside candidates, other people from other NFL teams that we could bring in to be the Raiders offensive coordinator in the year of 2026, because I think that's really the video that a lot of y'all want. But at the time of I'm making this show, you got to understand the Raiders aren't going to bring in somebody else. They would promote from within, and that's what I'm going to talk about on this program. We're talking about it on the program, and the Raiders have begun having conversations around it because of the offensive struggles that this team has had. And it's bad from top to bottom. We are bottom 2 in the NFL in points per game. We're not any good in being able to move the football. We don't convert in the red zone. And the Raiders fired their offensive coordinator last season, Luke Getsy, for doing a better job with far less talent and way less money than what Chip Kelly is doing this season. If Pete Carroll's not going to take blame and if he's not going to point the finger at Geno Smith or his son Brennan Carroll on the offensive line, they're going to point the finger at somebody. And somebody's got to be the scapegoat. I am under the impression that the scapegoat, if the offense can't get it clicking, is going to be, in fact, Chip Kelly. So my question to you is this. If Chip Kelly is fired, because there is clearly a Chip Kelly problem, but I think one of the problem is, you can't just say that's a problem. We need to be able to find a solution. I don't know if there's a solution on this Raiders team. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know if there is a coach on this team that I trust more to call plays than Chip Kelly, because it could just be a Geno Smith problem. But if the Raiders do decide to move on from Chip, who should be the new interim OC? I want you to go down to the comments section. I want you to let me know, because after this YouTube ad break, I'm going to give you the 5 coaches on this Raiders team that I think it could be. Let's go to the very first name and probably the least likely of the candidates. Tight ends coach Luke Steckel. And the reason why I'm going to put Steckel on this list is because I think he deserves to be on this list, because I think he is a very well-respected coach. And I've made this statement before, and I'll make it again. Think about the way that y'all think about Rob Leonard in terms of being a defensive line coach. The way that you think about Rob Leonard in terms of defensive line is the exact same way that you should think about Luke Steckel in terms of the tight ends, because even though he's got no OC experience, which is probably why he won't end up getting the job, he lasted through 4 different head coaches with the Tennessee Titans. I think Mike Vrabel's a smart head coach. He's proven it in New England right now. Vrabel and that organization kept him multiple times, right? But mainly the Titans. They kept him multiple times when they moved on from people. Why? He's a very well-respected tight ends coach. I know we have Brock Bowers. I know we have Michael Mayer. But I also think that we have one of the better young tight end rooms in the NFL, and Steckel should get credit for that. So because of all that, I think that his name should be in the ring. though I don't think it would actually be considered. These are some of the names that I think are probably going to be considered a little bit more, and this one's going to scare the hell out of you. Nate Carroll, the assistant quarterback coach. Same thing. I don't think that he would get the job. I do think the Raiders would consider him a little bit more because of his last name, but I really think that Nate Carroll would get a promotion to another position if Chip Kelly was fired, and I'll tell you what that is here in just a moment. But he has been in the NFL since 2011, 0 OC experience, and I think that this would be a Nepo promotion by Pete. Like, there's no track record that Nate deserves a job, but if I've learned anything from covering the Pete Carroll Raiders, it's if you got connections, you're going to have an opportunity. He was fired after 1 year in Carolina in 2024. He was a pass game coordinator, and I think it shows like the one job that he got where he wasn't with his dad, he was fired in 1 year. I get he's got plenty of NFL experience, but those are all NFL experience and jobs underneath Pete Carroll with the Seattle Seahawks. So Nate Carroll on the list, Steckel on the list, but to me, there are 3 actual candidates that the Raiders would consider if they fire Chip Kelly. I'll tell you who those 3 candidates are here in just a moment. Before I do, you already knew I was going to tell you. Prize Picks, get $50 when you play 5. Down below in the comments section. It's going to be down below in the description as well. I love Prize Picks. Chubbs loves Prize Picks. And if you want to download America's #1 fantasy sports app, then listen the heck up right now. Because even though the weather is changing, being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. You can also follow other Prize Picks players directly in the app, copy their lineups in one click. So if you wanted to be able to follow my lineup, and if you wanted to go flex play, power play, how you play on Prize Picks is up to you, then download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS, that is CLNS, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineups. If you like being right, it's good to be right on Prize Picks, where you have that ability to put the extra money in your pocket. And I'll keep saying this. If you plan on watching the Raiders, give yourself something to root for if you know that they're not going to win. Get a lineup in on Prize Picks, root for the more, root for the less, root for putting money in your pocket. Let's go to the next Chip Kelly replacement if he is fired by the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if you did it on purpose, Chugs, but I love that you did it. Brennan Carroll, Littlehead, offensive line coach. He's also in charge of our running game coordinator, or is that just the photo? Oh, that's just the photo. They tried to hide him, and I don't blame him. So, Brennan Carroll does have NFL and college coaching experience. He was the offensive coordinator at Arizona, where he was also the offensive line coach. He was also the offensive coordinator and O-line coach with the University of Washington in the year 2024. He ended up leaving that gig to go take the job with the Raiders. Now, you could say he wasn't fired. He was going to get fired in those gigs that he had, and the reason why he didn't, again, he knew that he was going to get another opportunity elsewhere. And, let's face the facts here. If you're going to move on from Chip Kelly, you're probably going to hire somebody who's got offensive coordinator experience. I can't imagine what would happen. I don't even want to think about what I would do, but I'll give you my word right now. If the Raiders were to name Brennan Carroll or even Nate Carroll to be the interim OC, buckle up. I can't even tell you what I would do right now on the spot. All I know is I'll be live. It would be a live show you don't want to miss, and I would start calling for Pete Carroll's job. And I say this because I am a little bit nervous. And I had a source tell me, again, many months ago, that they thought the Raiders' plan could potentially be to hire Pete Carroll and then name Brennan Carroll the successor in a few years. That scares the absolute hell out of me. And nobody here would want that to happen. And if Mark Davis decided to do that, I actually think that there would be more of an outrage in that move than when they hired Josh McDaniels, and I don't even know if that's humanly possible, but it truly is. I mean this when I say this. If the Raiders were to hire Brennan Carroll as the interim OC, I'm going to go nuts. And I don't even know what I do. And that's coming from a guy who went live for 26 straight hours when the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels. It would be that type of crazy, I think. Let's go to the next name coming up here of the Chip Kelly replacements if he's fired. I'm going to go Joe Philbin. He's senior offensive assistant right now for the Las Vegas Raiders, and another guy that's very well liked, very well respected around circles, especially also in that locker room. And he has a lot, and I mean a lot of experience in the NFL. He was the Packers OC in 2007 to 2011, and then also again in 2018. Because he also has head coaching experience, I wonder if the Raiders were like, well, the Pete Carroll experiment did not work. Maybe we decide to hire an OC who then also could kind of be like that head coach OC role to a guy like Pete Carroll, and then he could be a part of the program next season when we're trying to go out and find a brand new offensive coordinator. But to me, the number one name that I think if the Raiders decided to move on from Chip, and it's probably why they won't move on from Chip unless Chip really truly wants to step away, I think that they would end up going with this name right here. But you know what? Before I tell you who the coach is that I think ends up getting that job if Chip is fired, I just want to tell y'all about some of the legends that always show up and always show love on this program. You guys have probably heard me say bang a lot, and I wish this was the Raiders offense this season. But you know what? These guys are scoring way more than the Chip Kelly-led Raiders offense. So shout out to the Weldinator, Yoda, Drodger Jeep, Jerry Danley, and Lord Cameron Abbott, our bang leaders for the month of November. And if you bang in the month of November, you're going to have an opportunity to go home with a signed Raiders Report helmet from Jeremy Chuggs and I. It's the first one ever. It might be the last. I don't know. But if you're banging on this show, I see you, and obviously we appreciate it here. Let's go to the final name, and it's going to be Greg Olsen, the Raiders quarterback coach. Quite frankly, I think the easiest thing for the Raiders to do, hire Greg Olsen and then promote Nate Carroll to quarterback coach. I think it's what this team honestly, truly would do. He's got 15 years of OC experience. He has coached the Detroit Lions, the St. Louis Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Oakland Raiders, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it was the Oakland Raiders as well. I accidentally put LV in there, so that's on me to separate it. But bottom line is he's had 6 different offensive coordinator jobs. Hasn't been great, I will say that. The other reason why I think that Greg would end up getting the nod is because he worked with Pete and Gino in 2023. He's the only one out of that list of names that can say, I worked with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith in 2023. And I do believe this would be the hire. And then again, Carroll ends up going to the quarterback coach. But at the same exact time, I've seen Greg Olsen as an offensive coordinator. I don't know how it would end up looking. I don't know what it would look like. I would hope it would mean more under center because when you're looking at a lot of the teams right now, teams that are going out of shotgun and pistol, they actually play a lot worse. Teams that are going under center and playing more of that style of offense where they're playing that FU style, it is working, and that's kind of the style Greg liked to go with Derek Carr and company. But the problem with the Greg Olsen offense, with this offensive line, I have no idea what it would end up looking like, and I don't even know if it would be better than Chip Kelly. So, if the Raiders decided to fire Kelly, these to me are your top 5 replacements. Luke Steckel, Nate Carroll, Brennan Carroll, Joe Philbin, and Greg Olsen. This list is solely, and I mean solely based on what I think would happen, not what I personally would do for the Raiders. Because if it was what I would personally do for the Raiders, the only 3 names that would be on here are Luke Steckel, Joe Philbin, and Greg Olsen. And I honestly don't know if any 3 of those guys are better than Chip Kelly. Suave! Mente, There was rumors that the Mavs would trade 80 back to my Lakers for picks if GM was fired, so no surprise. I mean, if I was the Lakers, I would pick up the phone and I would call Nico Harrison, and I would just be like, do you want to have the lowest level job possible? Because I don't know who's going to hire Nico because of how much of a disaster he was as a GM, how much of a disaster he was in that Curry contract with Nike. Like, I hate to rip apart a guy that I've never met before, but when all you've done is just catastrophically failed, and I know certain things about him personally, just based on some information that we've been able to get through Chat Sports, that I don't know how you hire that guy. And I think if he was able to get a job, like, good for him. But I wouldn't hire him to coach a YMCA team, quite frankly. Let's go to Seahawks fan. What's up, dude? When the Seahawks GM is offering to trade you his quarterback, just say no. For example, Russell Wilson trade. I root for the Raiders, though, because I like Pete. I root for the Raiders because I like Pete. And I think, that's what the hardest part is about the whole Pete Carroll situation. It's like, it was easy to hate Josh McDaniels because Josh McDaniels was a scumbag, right? He was a schmuck. And it was easy to be able to hate a guy like that. I like Pete Carroll, the person. And I want to be able to love Pete Carroll, the coach. Like, I really, truly do. All of us want to be able to sit up here and root for him. But at the same time, if your wife leaves you every single weekend and she comes back smelling like somebody else, it's kind of hard to have that trust. And right now, Pete Carroll just smells like he's trying to recreate the Legion of Boom. But, we're like, hey, Pete, man, it's the year's 2025. And I know that that's probably the biggest reason why Seattle decided to move on from Pete, because he just kept trying to live in the past too much. But all of us here are rooting for Pete. And I think all of us here honestly like Pete Carroll. Like, he's a very, very likable guy. And that's what's difficult, right? Like, I don't know if any of y'all have ever hired a friend, have ever worked with a friend. Like here at Chat Sports, obviously I've been here probably one of the longest. I've been here since 2017. We're always hiring new guys in and out. And, you become really, really good friends with people, and there's always tough conversations that need to be had of, all right, this guy's good at his job, he's a good person. But what's really difficult is, like, when you have someone that's not good at their job, but they're a good person. And that's how I feel right now with the Raiders. Like, I know Pete's a good dude. But at the exact same time, we got to be able to sit up here in this business, because that's what the NFL is. It's a business. And you got to be able to sit up here and go, I get Pete Carroll is a good guy, but he's been a disaster. And he's been a disaster from top to bottom. Like, from top to bottom. Also, Nico Harrison just updated his bio. It used to say GM of the Dallas Mavericks, and now says girl dad and unemployed. Interesting. All right, y'all. Final call for you to get in our duck race. Final chance for you to get in our duck race. It is a $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. Bayou, I see you. I got you. You, sir, are in. Yep. You, sir, are in. I got you. Right now, it is a $20 Venmo. You have the opportunity to go home with $140, which means I will be donating $140 to SaveAWarrior.org. Another one coming in here from Seahawks fan. What's up, Seahawks fan? Appreciate you tuning into the program. Greatly appreciate it. Another one was, I'm 19. Pete's given me winning seasons my whole life, so it's hard to hate Pete. Seattle moved on because he and the GM clashed over who was in charge. And I think that you can clearly see that they made the right call. I think as a Raiders fan, you should see what Seattle did. And I think that's got to be one of those things of shit, man. Maybe we should move on. Because how quickly Seattle was able to get things turned around. And you see where the Raiders are at right now. I love Pete. And I know you probably love Pete too. But at the exact same time, Pete reminds me of, I'm not saying my grandfather personally, but he reminds me of a grandfather where the older and older they get, you're like, should I take the keys away? And I'm just, should we take the keys away from Pete? Should we take the keys away from Pete? Can we take the keys away from Pete? Holy crap, man. Holy crap, man. All right, y'all. You guys ready to do this duck race? Final chance for you to get in. $20 Venmo, Mitchell Renz 365. Also, if you do not know, I am going to be live. Justine Gonzalez, you in. $20 Venmo right now for an opportunity to go home with, as it stands right now, oh, wait, a few more. Giuseppe, I got you in, Mr. Josep. And then Richard Black, I also got you in. So 20 to win, $170 here on today's program. And again, whatever the winner gets, I match that in a donation, and I'm going to send it to Save a Warrior. Whatever the winner gets, I'll match, and I'll send it to Save a Warrior. Appreciate, again, everyone that always does this, supporting the show, supporting our troops. And if you've served in the military, I salute to you. All right, y'all. One more coming in from Mr. Sergeant Fighter. Godspeed to all my fellow vets. Semper Fi. Sergeant, I love that you always keep it the same, man. Don't ever change. 222. A lot of ones. Always keep it the same, Sergeant Fighter. Always keep it the same. Anthony Green said, wait for me. Mr. Green, come on, man. Anthony, I don't have it yet, but I'm just going to put you in because I know you're always good for it. And if you don't end up sending me anything and you win, I know where to find you. I will come find you, Anthony. No, I know you're good for it, Ant. I know you're good for it. All right, y'all. I'm going to send this over to Chugs, and let's get this thing rocking and a rolling. A rocking and a rolling. Dude, I don't know why my wife is sending me photos of her in 2015. She looks like she's 6 years old. Yeah, that's crazy. That's craziness. Wild, wild, wild. Buckle up, Buttercup from Elijah. Hey, Buttercup, I'm always buckled up. When you cover the Las Vegas Raiders, when you're a Raiders fan, if you're not buckled the F up, I don't know what you're doing. As a Raiders fan, man, you've always got to be buckled up, ready to go. Ooh, this is an interesting race. I don't know if, I think we might have done this one before. Yeah, we've definitely done this one before. This is a good one. This is a good one. All right, can I get a quick shuff? Quick little shuff piece. Quick little shuff piece. Anthony Green, I got you. 3, 2, 1. And here we go. Winner! Going to be going home with $170, which also means Save a Warrior. You're going to be going home with $170. Shout out to you. Giuseppe, right now with the lead. You know what this reminds me of? The Little Rascals. Where they're like coming down the stretch. Darla's just got to put like, or what's his name? Alfalfa. He's just got to put the handkerchief on the very, very front and just absolutely cruising. Little Rascals was probably like one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. Carlos! Come on, Carlos. Get it going. Neil Ann, very interesting spot. Justine Gonzalez, Philip Bogert, falling back here a little bit. Weldinator. I don't know if Weldinator's driving or doing something else with those hands. I'm not sure. Soldier Man. Who's this in the back? Who's this in the back? It's Philip Bogert. Philip! From behind! Mr. Bogert! Philip from behind Bogert with the win. Mr. Bogert, congratulations, good sir. Congrats, congrats, congrats. Philip Bogert, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Winner, winner. Winner, winner, winner. Winner. All right, y'all. Also, LA Crash. You guys are, I don't know if Gunny's here yet. I don't think that he is. So, I am just going to, Crash Dog, are you here? I don't see him. Well, his name's not LA Crash. Yeah, I know Bayou's here. You guys can mark my words here. Once I get off this stream, I'm going to send that money to Crash Dog, and the next time we're back here live on the show will be Thursday for Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a special show. Hope that you guys pull up. It's going to be special for somebody that does a lot of crazy, crazy stuff always on this program, and we're going to be going balls to the wall a little bit on Thursday. I hope that you guys are ready to go. So, the next time Gunny's here, I will have him confirm with all of y'all that he received the money, but my phone's not loading through. So, $170 going to Save a Warrior. Absolutely, positively awesome. Congratulations to Philip. To all the Raider fans out there, reminder, hit that subscribe button. We're going to do everything in our power to always keep you up to date. From Chugs, from me, the whole Chat Sports team, thank you to all the veterans out there that served. And if you want to be a legend, make sure you donate. Make sure you tell them Father Tom sent you. SaveAWarrior.org/donate. Peace out. Enjoy the rest of your day.